says the sole power of impeachment lies with the House. White House counsel Pat Cipollone has labeled the House impeachment inquiry illegitimate based on its own interpretation of the Constitution's vague language. President Trump let loose on Twitter this morning, commenting on issues ranging from impeachment to Syria to Hillary Clinton.
With no public events on his schedule until later in the afternoon, the president spent much of the morning tapping out social media messages on his iPhone. Over the course of 4 hours, from about 5:45 a.m. to about 9:30 a.m., he tweeted 32 times, 10 of which were retweets. The president denounced Democrats, criticized the whistleblower, defended his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from northern Syria, blamed the Fed for slowing the economy, and retweeted a 2016 debate video clip with Hillary Clinton. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Residents in Sonoma and California's wine country are swarming to the few businesses open in the town square amid a power outage expected to last for days. Pacific Gas shut off power to more than 500,000 customers in Northern California, in the biggest planned shut-off in the state's history. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 235 points, while the NASDAQ is up 94.5. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-600-3010. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-600-3010 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-600-3010 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-600-3010.
Senator Bernie Sanders says he'll slow down the pace of his 2020 presidential campaign as he recovers from last week's heart attack.
Sanders says he has no plans of dropping out of the race, but told reporters gathered outside his Vermont home on Tuesday it is time to slow down. Of the pace leading up to his heart attack, Sanders says, quote, "I was dumb," saying he should have listened to his body's signs of fatigue as he often held 4 rallies a day across the early primary states of Iowa and New Hampshire. The campaign has confirmed that Sanders, who currently ranks 3rd among Democrats in polling, will take part in next week's debate. Bob Agnew reporting.
Apple has become the latest company targeted for Chinese pressure over protests in Hong Kong after the ruling Communist Party's main newspaper criticized the tech giant for a smartphone app that allows activists to report police movements. People say complained HKMap.live facilitates illegal behavior. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. 3 scientists have won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for their work leading to the development of lithium-ion batteries. The prize went to 97-year-old John Goodenough, a German-born engineering professor at the University of Texas, 77-year-old Stanley Whittingham, a British-American chemistry professor at the State University of New York at Binghamton, and Japan's 71-year-old Akira Yoshino of Asahi Kasei Corporation and Meiko University. Goran Hansson, the Secretary General of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, said Goodenough made history by winning a Nobel Prize.
Being born in 1922, Dr. Goodenough is the oldest Nobel laureate ever awarded the prize.
German federal prosecutors have taken over the investigation of a shooting in the eastern city of Halle that left 2 people dead. Germany's federal prosecutors handle cases involving suspected terrorism or national security. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
This is not America. Little piece of you.
Hey, welcome to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I am your host, Brendan Trainor, my co-host, Leland Faegre, and we're streaming now on Talking Truth to Power group on Facebook
and around the world.
Around the world at www.americamatters.us. And we have a lot to talk about today.
I love your Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity T-shirt.
Yes, I'm a dues paying member, and I go to their meetings when I can. I missed the one this summer. It was on the drug war, but unfortunately I wasn't able to attend that one. But I have gone to most of their meetings that they have a couple of times a year, and I believe that they're doing a lot of good work, and they get censored off Facebook sometimes, but it's all part of the game these days.
It sure is.
Yeah.
They know something about censorship over there at Facebook.
So we'd like to start off with the impeachment or coup. Coup.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I missed my cue there.
That's going on today. And we have some information that you haven't heard, at least yet, from the mainstream media, although there's a lot of talk going on in both directions. And one of them is, why did Hunter Biden get on the board of Burisma? Was it just simply a case of nepotism to put more money into their pocket? What was going on there? And the fact is that nobody's mentioning the role of the Ukraine and the coup in the great game of oil, which we should chat that a little bit about that today.
Which apparently walks right up to Nancy Pelosi's door.
Right.
Through her son.
Yes. We've heard about Shifty Schiff bribing Biden, hustling Hunter. Now we've got pillaging Paul.
That's why you're an award-winning writer.
Paul Pelosi Jr. was also over in the Ukraine, ostensibly to promote youth soccer. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
But actually, he was also on the board of several oil companies in America.
While he was there.
Yes, he had
just
ties
happened
to
to
them.
be,
Yeah, just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Maybe we should just hyphenate it.
Yeah. Okay.
Encouraging youth soccer / exemplar of oil.
Weaponizing war against Russia and the EU.
And it's actually fracking they're actually pursuing over there, isn't it?
Well, there was on two fronts. They wanted the Ukraine because the Ukrainian parliament, after the Maidan coup, around that time, they put out oil contracts for drilling oil in Crimea, or maybe just offshore Crimea, but in Crimean waters. And it was to Royal Dutch Shell and to Chevron, the U.S. company. And they were also talking about fracking in the Donbass, which is the area that revolted against the Ukrainian government after the Maidan coup of February 2014. And we've heard a lot about the Donbass revolted because they had voted for Yatsenyshchenko.
Good for you.
Or because the Ukrainian government became so anti-Russian, they banned the speaking of Russian. When I was in Kiev, I happened to speak to a young lady that told me that during our conversation that she was going to vote for Poroshenko again for president in this upcoming election, but she admitted that she spoke Russian all the time at home. And Russian is, the Ukraine was part of Russia for over 1,000 years, and it's the Russian language is very similar to the Ukrainian language, but many people consider it superior, that the Ukrainian language is kind of sing-songish and the Russian language is better spoken than Ukraine. But at any rate, most of the people in Ukraine also speak Russian.
It's very much a bifurcated culture, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They're both Southern Slavic cultures and Southern Slavic languages.
It's extraordinary intelligence for us to go in there and start messing with that.
Yes, I know.
What are that? I mean,
of course, but we have the greatest intelligence in the world, so we know exactly what's going on in all these countries that we intervene in.
Absolutely right. Yeah, You're correct, sir.
All right. So the people in the Donbass, which, if you recall, are the two, they're called oblasts, we would call them provinces. They're right up on the Russian border, and they were terrified of European and American companies coming in and fracking. They were afraid they would destroy the land and exploit it and then pick up and leave after a year or two.
Frack it up?
Yeah, frack it up. And the whole thing is that this fits into what we're trying to do to stop the EU from getting Russian oil and natural gas, and to stop Russia and to hurt Russia by keeping them from selling their gas to Europe. And of course, all that has done is so far not much. The Nord Stream is delayed, but everybody expects it will connect to Germany. Angela Merkel, to her credit, has not bowed down to this pressure. She knows Germany really, really needs this gas.
Yeah,
and,
she knows Germany really, really well.
And but they did the next gas pipeline is called the Turkish line, and that's going to be completed at least through Turkey by the end of the year. But now there's difficulty in how to exactly get that gas to the EU. They've managed to block that. It was supposed to go through Bulgaria. Apparently it's not. But this was the great game that they were playing. This is why Hustling Hunter was put on the board of Burisma so that he can oversee. He knows nothing about oil, except he knows something about politics, and he wants to oversee.
I don't even think he's changed the oil in his own car.
He wants to oversee this strategy of keeping Russia from selling its oil to Western Europe. And pillaging Paul, the same thing. Paul Pelosi Jr. would also be a plant. We don't have it developed yet how much success he had in that endeavor, but he was over there, and I think we can safely say it's more than a coincidence that the offspring of top Democratic leaders were over in the Ukraine.
You think it's more than a coincidence?
I think it's more than a coincidence.
Oh, well, we'll see. Don't go away.
Once a powerful leader in the world of finance and insurance, a now retired Jim Stannard has taken on a new role as a singer-songwriter, fulfilling a dream that has burned for more than 4 decades. Working with platinum-selling rocker Kip Winger and Afghan Wigs guitarist John Skibick to bring his songs to life, his debut release, Bucket List, has been met with enthusiasm. CD Baby syndicated writer Tony Mastriani wrote, "This album is refreshing and most probably more interesting than what you've been listening to this year. It is my sleeper pick for Best Independent Label Album thus far in 2018. Jim Hines from Make a Scene agreed. Some gems here. Stannard has both a gift for poetry and narrative, drawing from a well of influences that include such diverse artists as Warren Zevon, The Who, David Bromberg, and Robert Earl Keen. Bucket List's 11 original songs makes up what Roots Music Report calls a grows on you set from a fresh and highly believable voice. Order your copy at jimstannardmusic.com or download wherever digital music is sold.
Call Sursic Dental because you're worth it. They can make your smile perfect. You're gonna love your new smile. Sursic Dental for a perfect smile.
Sursic Dental has a $125 special that includes a cleaning, x-rays, a free Sonicare toothbrush, and a free cosmetic makeover consultation.
Sursic Dental for a perfect
Call
smile.
827-1113.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more. Midtown Matters. Get down to Midtown.
Ponderosa Meats, the anchor of Midtown since 1954. USDA choice, USDA prime cut. Ponderosa grass-fed beef. Call 775-322-4063. Ponderosa Meats, tradition, quality, and prime service.
Midtown Reno. Experience the difference. Get down to Midtown. Midtown Matters.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. and it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
Last night I watched the news from Washington, the capital. The Russians escaped while we weren't watching them, like Russians will. Now we've got all this through. We've even got the moon. And I hear the USSR will be open soon as vacation land for lawyers in love. Lawyers in love.
So that's sort of a double-edged sword there. We have Jackson Browne, whose birthday is today.
Right.
John Lennon's birthday is also today. But also it segues into our discussion of Russia and the coup d'etat currently underway with our
You mean
president.
impeachment?
No, I meant coup d'etat.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people make that mistake.
Okay. So the next player that I wanted to discuss a little bit about here was, besides the
Klopper,
the offspring of top Democrats involved in the Ukraine, is a very interesting trio called the Chalupa sisters.
Yeah.
When I think of Chalupa sisters, I kind of think of those 1930s Hollywood musicals with the women with the big headdresses, you know, with bananas and pineapples on them and everything, but doing a musical about Latin America and United Fruit. But
Batista era stuff.
Yeah. But actually they're Ukrainian, and they've been a long time anti-Russian activists in the Ukraine. They Alexandra is the major point person. Her sisters Andrea and Irene basically helped her. And it says that she was trying to dig up dirt on Paul Manafort since 2004. And the Democratic National Committee paid her $412,000 from 2004 to 2016, according to FEC records.
Now, the Justice Department looked at that information back at that time and passed on the prosecution, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's the way it went down.
Well, yeah. So
until Trump came along.
Okay, so she founded the U.S. United with Ukraine Coalition in 2014, and she organized social media campaigns against Trump starting in 2016. She's the founder of the Twitter hashtag treasonous Trump. But at any rate, she's been involved over there. She is the source of the information that got Paul Manafort indicted and convicted.
So she went with the alliteration there, treasonous Trump.
Treasonous Trump, yeah. So Alexandra has been trying to dig up dirt on Manafort, and of course, Manafort was involved with the Yakushenko. All right, the pro-Russian president of the Ukraine.
Yeah, everybody knew that.
But he says, and he insists that he was trying to get the president to go along with the EU offer. And as we know, he seemed to be ready to go along with the EU offer when at the last minute he switched over to Putin and the Russian offer to join the Russian Economic Union, which is doing quite well. I mean, they probably would have been a lot better off if they had joined the Russian movement.
Yeah.
And then, but then, of course, that caused the coup in the Maidan and the breakaway of Crimea from the Ukraine to rejoin Russia, and the revolt in the Donbass, which is
set
still
off
ongoing.
a whole sequence of events.
Yes, it has. Yes. So we should hear more about the Chalupa sisters as time goes on, and their role.
It's not diamond and silk.
No, it's
equivalents
not.
in.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, they don't have a routine except to try and undermine Russia. And so, I mean, the Ukraine is a terribly divided country because it's also has involvement with Poland, which is a longtime enemy of Russia.
Well, that's why it was so vulnerable to penetration by the Clinton operation, the whole Clinton conspiracy.
Right.
They set up shop there.
Yeah, and then in 2004, 10 years earlier, we had a color revolution that also put a pro-West president in power, and he was just absolutely corrupt. The whole thing about Ukraine is it's been totally corrupt. I mean, the Soviet Union was corrupt, but Ukraine outdoes them with corruption.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Since 1991. And also the rise of the neo-Nazis. And in 2004, when we put a pro-Western president in, one of the things he did was set up a monument to Stepan Bandera, who was a Nazi collaborator that helped to that killed thousands of Jews, but also helped to fight Russia in the Ukraine. So and that's the hero of the neo-Nazi faction in the Ukraine, which I understand didn't do well in the last election. So they, when I was in Ukraine, I left Saturday night for a night train to Moscow, and the next day, 15,000 neo-Nazis marched in Kiev. So I just missed it.
Yeah, your timing was just a little bit off.
Yes, yes. So I would have seen that, but at any rate, she has a long history. There's a site called Conservapedia. I never knew that conservatives had their own wiki. But there's a site called Conservapedia.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with it.
You are?
Yeah, I'll check it out.
And you can look up the Chalupa sisters there.
Is it Conserva as in A?
Yeah, Conservapedia.
Okay.
Yeah. So so the whole history, their spotty history of trying to get dirt on Manafort, who is the major casualty of so far the Mueller investigation. I mean, there's also Stone. He's also
Roger Stone.
Yeah, he's also in the loop for major time.
Mm-hmm.
But so
although I doubt that that's going to happen. But the interesting thing you mentioned Mueller, and now it's apparently through documentation. And I wondered about this at the time. When he was testifying on Capitol Hill, did he was he actually setting himself up for the FBI director role again? Because he had been previously director of the FBI. And apparently the documentation suggests that he was actually there as an interview for the job.
Although he denied it.
And he denied it at the time, so he lied to Congress. And then in the next day, he was appointed the Consolation Prize, which was the Mueller investigation that we have all been through now for the last 2.5 years. Pretty interesting stuff. And then some of the more important links to this conspiracy against Trump is the CIA or intelligence link, which is Clapper and Brennan. And Clapper all but said that Obama made us do it the other day in an interview.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he said Obama made us do it. Well, we always knew that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a revelation because we've always assumed that Obama made him do it, but he's actually declaring it now for public discourse. And pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, because it's come a long way in the investigation, and they know the Durham report now is widening.
Right.
So they're going to have to protect themselves in some way. And as I've always said, they're not going to go down uniquely. They're all going down together. If they go after the underlings, at the bottom of this conspiracy, they're going to go all the way to the Oval Office, and that's how it looks like it's being set up. Because Trump has taken off the gloves. Mm-hmm. He just put a bullet between the eyes, with deference to Graham Nash's song, right between the eyes, you know, and this is says, you go to hell, you know, you're not getting nothing from me.
Mm-hmm.
You want an impeachment? Then I want a resolution.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's an excellent strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. And we all love that about him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not afraid to go after these people. And they don't have anything against him anyway. So, I mean, he's got nothing to lose. And those are always interesting odds when you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, and so many Republicans down through the years have brought their knives to a gunfight, and they refuse to go after it.
Yeah, it was all show and nothing else.
Right. Yeah. So I know we've got somebody here that's willing to fight, and whether you like him or not, you have to admire his gumption and his willingness to bring clarity to the situation.
Right. And that's how he won. I mean, Hillary this past weekend, or I guess over the last few days, has been sort of putting up the assumption that she's still in the race. And I never discounted her, frankly. I mean, especially with that crew they've got on stage next Tuesday. I mean, what a sorry bunch of people. Unbelievable. Why wouldn't she still be in there?
Yeah, I know.
Like, enter stage left, you know, in a brokered convention or some scheme like that, because they have no idea how to beat Trump. That's why they want to get him out of there. That's why it's a coup.
Oh yeah,
I mean
they've wanted to get him out of there ever since he was elected.
The day after the election on the 9th of November 2016, the establishment press had already proffered the idea of impeachment.
How dare a businessman? I mean, the only other businessman that ever ran was Wendell Willkie, and he was a rhino.
Right.
You know, he was a conciliator, a typical Republican candidate. And how dare that they put somebody, a Republican that has his, a businessman that has his own ideas about how the things should be run and is standing against the establishment. How dare they, nominate him? And how shocking that he won.
But they knew that he was not a globalist. He wasn't one of them.
Yes.
So this guy has to go. And they all plotted, and they're still plotting.
Right.
Home at Last opens doors to family, to freedom, to finally making it yours. Home at Last, a program of the Nevada Rural Housing Authority, opens doors to rural homebuyers with incomes of up to $135,000, providing down payment assistance of more than $22,000, plus access to our exclusive pet adoption program. From Gardnerville to Fernley to Carson City and even Sparks, rural happens here in every county in Nevada. Learn more at homeatlastnv.org.
Hi, I'm Leslie Moon.
And I'm Shonda Golden.
Join us every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for American Women, where we'll talk about issues affecting all of us with select guests.
Faith, family, politics, economics, fitness, music, culture, and anything else we want to talk about.
Because after all, it's our show.
So good.
Hey everyone, Dave Escher here, introducing you to our new store, the Nevada Marketplace, in the Reno Town Mall. Anchored with the Buy Nevada First gift shop, we've added over 60 micro shops, giving locals a place to set up their dream store. We are now 20,000 square feet strong, supporting over 250 local merchants with all things made in Nevada and more. We have more locals in one place than anywhere in the state, ready to help you find that perfect gift. We're open every day with easy parking at Peckham and Virginia. Go to buynevadafirst.com, your source for all things local.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay. Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving
is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station, the power of radio since 1967.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. And we're here discussing the events that are cascading upon us in the last few days. One of the major events that has happened just this weekend, and this morning, with the announcement that Turkey had, in fact, started their invasion or incursion into northern Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And so Trump, he either pulled the troops from Syria or he pulled them out of that zone.
Out of harm's way.
Yeah, it's not really clear whether he got them all the way out or not.
I think the Pentagon said that they were still in the region.
Yeah, I think so. That's too bad, because we'd like to see him get them all out of there.
Well, it doesn't mean he won't pull them out, but maybe he's just supervising the invasion to see how Erdogan plays this thing out.
Right.
Because he's not to be trusted.
No, well, of course not. The sooner he gets out of NATO, probably the better. But for all concerned, because I think Putin has more control over him than the U.S. does and NATO does.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the incursion has started, and the poor Kurds, everybody is crying crocodile tears and wringing their handkerchiefs.
Aren't they, though?
Over the Kurds,
yep.
As if America has never betrayed an ally before.
Entangled and betrayed itself with someone before, yeah.
No.
When hasn't it done that?
I know. I mean, being an ally with America is not a long-term prospect for prosperity, I can tell you that.
And through its history, if you choose to become an ally of ours, you've got to watch your back, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We betray everybody at some point.
Yes, we
Saddam.
do. Uh-huh. Yeah, Saddam was our buddy until he wasn't.
He got everything he wanted from us until he couldn't.
Yes, exactly. And so we made sure he was executed under the American media radar, and so he was not able to confess any or reveal any skeletons in the closet. And don't forget, even Saddam, there was the swamp people that George Bush encouraged to revolt against Saddam,
mm-hmm.
and then left them high and dry when they did it, and they were massacred.
Right.
Don't forget
Awful
the Vietnamese government.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Name the region of the world, and we'll have another example for you. Yes,
we'll have another graveyard full of crosses somewhere.
Oh, God.
So the thing is that they're not, Turkey already controls the far northwest area around a city called Afrin. And the reason why they control it is because the Kurds refused to ask Assad, the president of Syria, for help. When Turkey said they were going to retake that area, the Kurds decided to fight them. And guess what? They didn't win. So that's been their story lately. They've tried to hold elections that they've lost, like the referendum over Kurdistan in Iraq. And when they've you see, what they want is complete autonomy. They want an autonomous region in Syria with control of the oil that's there in the north, in that part. Syria doesn't have a lot of oil, but a lot of it is right there in that northern part. So they wanted to control the oil like they had control over a lot of the oil in Iraq. And they wanted, to be nominally a part of Syria, but to have their own parliament and their own, rules and for how they were governed. And Assad does not want that. He does not want Syria to be partitioned. He wants one Syria. So he told them, no, if you can have cultural autonomy, which means you will be free to use your language and
just
customs.
Not political autonomy.
Just not political autonomy. And the Kurds have been resisting that. And now, all of a sudden, with this announcement that Turkey's coming down, they said, well, that discussion is back on the table. Well, it's back on the table now, but, the situation has changed once again to their detriment, and who knows if Assad will come and help them. Although Russia does not want to see Syria partitioned either.
No, they don't.
No. So there's going to be a Security Council meeting tomorrow.
These Kurds have been very accommodating to our political regionalism there.
Right.
And they've deluded themselves into thinking that at some point, especially when Trump took office, he'd already made it clear that he wanted the troops home, but then the Libertarian Party didn't believe he wanted to do that either. So I wonder how they're feeling about things today.
Yes, I know. Yeah, some of the commentators over at the cosmopolitan side of the Libertarian Party, like Reason Magazine and so on, they've had they got some explaining to do, but at any rate, and the Kurds over there now are faced with an existential dilemma. But now they're asking for a no-fly zone, which would, even if we approved that, it would take a while to set up, unless Russia could do it, because Russia's right there.
Yeah, I don't think Trump wants anything to do with that.
No,
he wants out.
Yeah,
there's only a handful of troops there anyway, right?
You're right.
What's the point?
You're right.
At some point,
well, the point is to keep an eye on and it's more symbolic than anything else. It's the neocons want it because symbolically it's a foothold in the region.
For an excuse to come back in.
Yeah, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And Israel has lost the major gambit of ousting Assad and having ISIS's black flag flying over Damascus, which they wanted, even though Christians would have been slaughtered. Let's face it, the Israelis don't give a fig about Christians. It's part of their religion not to. And then the Kurds are left with this dilemma, and they can still fight. There aren't that many mountains to hide in up there, but there are vast tracts of desert, and so they could still put up a guerrilla resistance, but it's not going to be easy.
Doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good. So
we have to wash our hands of that region.
Right.
We've destroyed it, and they will come after us for sure. I don't think there's any question about that.
Right.
We deserve to be followed because we shouldn't have ever messed it up in the first place.
So
fracked it up.
Fracked it up. So Romney and the Never Trumpers in the Senate and Flake, who's no longer in the Senate, Jeff Flake.
He's back.
He's back.
Flake and Romney are back.
And they're trying to say that, this means that there's more of a chance that if there is an impeachment, that the Senate would rise up in rebellion and impeach the president.
Waiting in the wings.
Yes. They're trying to foment all that discord there, but
he's been quiet the last couple of days, though. I thought Romney was really going to... He came out with a roar, but now he's sort of settled in.
I think Trump kind of silenced him a little bit.
Well, what he's done has silenced everybody. Even the Schiff left has reacted very, very... At least what I've noticed this morning, there's not a lot coming out of them over there. I don't think they know how to respond to this, because the whole thing may have been just an excuse or a feigned effort to impeach anyway. They may have never had a legitimate chance for a vote to begin with, and Trump has called their bluff.
Right. And so he's called their bluff, and that the latest polls show that people are concerned about this, asking the Ukrainian government to investigate Biden. But the Ukrainian government has appointed a new prosecutor who says that the case against Burisma, which would include Biden, it was never officially closed. It was just suspended, and they're going to reopen it.
Yeah, in fact, what I heard this morning was that it had already been reopened.
Okay.
When the phone call took place.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Clean as a houndstooth. No wonder he's going after him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes. So, Trump once again shows his ability to bring clarity to a situation. Either the Kurds are going to have to join with Assad and give up some of their dreams for security, or else they're going to have to fight the Turks and probably lose a lot. Now, the one joker in the pile is all the ISIS and other jihadis who have been, in prison there. They're watched over by the Kurds. The Kurds have indicated they're going to be so concerned with setting up their defenses there that they're not going to be able to watch them. So
probably true.
Yeah, more jihadis will probably be set loose.
So between now and the general election of 2020, we're going to have an Afghanistan issue as well, because that has to be resolved as well, because that's a campaign promise.
Right.
And we actually have a president that
does his best to fulfill
on
his campaign promises. Yeah, unlike 99% of the others.
Why aren't people happy about that?
I think a lot of people are.
Well, half the people are, but I mean, I'm talking about the ones who aren't. Why aren't they?
I think it's propaganda. Listening to
is it that effective?
Yeah, listening to AOC and they're complaining again that Trump is against the working class and Trump is against minorities.
Do they buy that?
I guess they do.
So it's the public schools then that has done all of this damage to the general population.
Public schools and the media.
Yeah. Well, they're public school educated as well.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah.
That's where the sewer is. It's the public schools. Oh, look at the phones light up.
844-790-TALK.
Right, I wish they'd call us, actually.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody thinks that the Crimea should belong to Ukraine or that Trump is, treasonous or a traitor, give us a call. We can discuss it. We're not evil here.
Well, Brennan, in his interview just within the last couple of days, has actually asked the deep state to rise up to defend him.
Right.
All of us, actually.
Yeah.
Defend all of them that have gone after Trump.
Join the Funtime Theater this fall as we make the history of the Comstock come alive with Voices from the Past, a walking tour of the Silver Terrace Cemetery in Virginia City. Each year, 12 actors portray past residents of the Comstock, sharing their life and death in the Old West. Shows are Saturday and Sundays, September 28th through October 13th at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. daily. Visit funtimetheater.com to make your reservations and use promo code RADIO for $5 off each adult admission. That's funtimetheater.com. Promo code RADIO.
The Butcher's Kitchen Charbecue invites your family in for the best wood-fire, slow-cooked barbecue rotisserie and open char pit food around these parts. Charbecue on the corner of Virginia and Huffaker presents sliced Santa Maria tri-tip, beef brisket, and ribeye. Charbecue redefines homemade pork and specialty sausages. The all-meat chili reigns supreme in Reno. Charbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, 7689 South Virginia at Huffaker, Winners Crossing. Get in and get real. Charbecue, Reno.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich? No. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station, the power of radio since 1967.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
Okay, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. Our final segment today. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, my co-host, Leland Faegre. And let's go back to a little bit more domestic politics. You know, next Tuesday is the next Democratic Party debate, and there's been so much water under the bridge, it might even be worth...
I might watch this one.
Yeah.
Because Tulsi's back up there.
Tulsi is going to be back up there.
Yeah.
Wondering who she'll take down this time.
And Biden will be there. And let's see who else. Oh, I guess Warren will be there.
Warren will be there.
And speaking of her.
Well, you know, she's Elizabeth. If you ask Elizabeth Warren, she'll insist she's a capitalist, and like all progressives, though, she just wants to make capitalism better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. And she was once a Republican, which people don't realize. I mean, I think it's been 30 years or something, but yeah, she was once a.
Yeah.
So she knows something about capitalism.
Yes. So she was caught in a kind of an untruth, although she is putting up a brave front and insisting it wasn't a falsehood, that she had to resign.
Papoose?
Yeah. she was going to have a papoose.
Yeah.
She had to resign her
because she's part
teaching
Indian.
job. Oh, yes.
So,
you know,
that's why I went to that. Couldn't help it.
A lot of people are talking about that brilliant LaRouche PAC.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that something?
Interference with one of AOC's town halls when she kind of channeled the great Irish writer Jonathan Swift's modest proposal that, you know, if the British were complaining that the potato famine was causing the Irish to no longer supply the British working class with cheap potatoes, and so Swift came out with a modest proposal that the Irish instead could export their babies for the British workers to eat, and so that's what she said. She took the Green New Deal to logical absurdity by saying we have to kill the babies.
Right. And did you see the expression on her face?
Yeah.
She had no idea. She was unprepared for this. To me, she seems like a third grader anyway. But you could just see on her face she did not know where this was going.
Yes. So we need some more of this theater. I mean, somebody could stand up
on a daily basis. Yes. Am I right, people?
Somebody should stand up to when Elizabeth Warren is speaking during the question period and say, how would you feel being the first proud American Indian president?
Right.
You know? I'm sure we can think of other
She'll
things
never live it down, but you know, I have the feeling that they're going to upend her at some point anyway. The elites of the party aren't going to allow that to happen because she's from the Northeast. She can't win.
No, they've always, the people that run from the Northeast, Kerry, and who were some of the others? McGovern, and the one that ran against Bush.
Probably the worst of all of them.
Yeah.
With him in the tank.
Yes, the picture in the tank
Can't
and
think
the
of
Willie Horton.
Can't think. Yeah, the Willie Horton ad was brilliant.
Yeah.
But you know, the Bush team has a lot of potential Willie Horton ads to run between now and Election Day. I mean, they have just made themselves look completely ridiculous. It's a clown show, as somebody's described it over the last couple of days. Described it as a, just a circus, and it is. It's actually funny. I mean, if this is not heaven, what is it? What could it be like? What we're looking at right now. Is this fun or what? I mean, honestly,
it's a laugh at a moment here when you hear these people speak.
It really is.
And when that moderate Delaney when Warren attacked him, and she says, I'm constantly amazed how so many people put so much time and energy into running for office just to tell us what they can't do. I said, that's me.
Yep, I know.
That's the libertarian.
I identified with that as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, you do her very well.
She, she's got a lot of explaining to do, but everybody, all of these Democrats can point to one time, at least in their life, when they feel they've been oppressed. And, the way this has come out with the whole culture of oppression and victimization, I'm sure many think that they're daily oppressed. I mean, how do they think that the working class and blacks and gays have suffered immense trauma under Trump? I don't see it.
No. It's not there.
No,
they have no issues. That's why they have to get rid of them.
Right. Yeah. And the tax cut just helped the wealthy?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
how many working class Americans feel their wallets fattened because of the Trump tax cut?
The rise of the equity markets. I mean, you just can't find anything that's really wrong on any level. Just because some of them have not been successful as yet doesn't mean that he hasn't done the right thing with regards to trade, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, it's just really hard to find a legitimate reason not to vote for him, save for the public schools that have been so effective over the course of several generations in dumbing down the general population.
Yeah, no matter how good it is, it could always be better if you just got the right person in charge.
Like Elizabeth Warren.
Yes, exactly. She's got a plan for everything except how to beat Trump.
She knows. Well, she knows how to manage capitalism, because she knows a thing or two about that. She used to be a Republican.
Yeah. So
cleanse it.
Yes, and she suffered that terrible traumatic ordeal over her pregnancy. Another thing I'd like to talk about is that, the left is constantly talking about how diversity is our strength. That's one of their foremost slogans.
Oh, yeah. It's right at the top of the list.
Yeah, and the fact is that a brand new study has come out, and from a Danish and European scientist.
Yeah, I heard about that a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they say that
the opposite is the case.
The opposite is the case. I'm just reading the abstract here. Was the final version will be printed in the Annual Review of Political Science, Volume 23, next year. Peter Dinesen of the University of Copenhagen and two other European social scientists, and they said continued immigration and corresponding growing ethnic diversity have revealed that there is a statistically significant negative relationship between ethnic diversity and social trust across all studies.
Negative correspondence to the...
Right.
Yeah, and Ann Coulter has made that point for years.
Right. So, and so did that... we had a whistleblower, but for Google a couple of summers ago. I remember the young engineer
young
criticized their diversity push and said that diversity actually can cause more problems than it helps. Enforce diversity. I mean, people are going to be diverse on their own accord, a certain number of them, but a certain number of people, naturally, but a certain number of people are going to stick to their own kind, too. And so and
they shouldn't be forced
right.
to do anything else.
The state shouldn't be coercing them or forcing them into situations. And it reveals itself in the inability. Saturday Night Live finally had a pertinent non-Trump comedy skit last week when they had a news program with 2 white newscasters and 2 blacks, and every time something came up, that they were fighting over whether the criminal was white or black, and every time he was white, the black broadcasters would pump their hands and high five each other. Every time he was white, the white broadcasters would do the same. So that's what it's come down to. But in fact, the studies have shown that, for example, they want to talk about serial killers, but since 1900, there are more blacks were in proportion to their population in the nation. More blacks have committed serial murders than whites, and since 1990, even the numerical majority of serial killers were black and not white. So that's another stereotype that we get. And whatever you think of the alt-right, I mean, this is something that they've been talking about for years. Whenever the newspapers report a murder or a violence, they're always quick to say whether the perpetrator was white. The police arrested a white male.
Yeah, they are. They pounce on that, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
But if it was black, they always say the newspapers arrested a male suspect, and they try to hide the fact that it was black.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see the same thing in Europe with the immigration. They keep trying to deny that these enforced immigration has caused a rise in rapes and other violent crimes.
Yep.
So I mean, this is the kind of milieu that we're all swimming in, but diversity is not necessarily our strength, and our strength lies in, a common purpose,
a common paradigm,
a common belief system.
It's very important if we're going to, avoid a balkanization of the United States of America.
Right. Yeah, so we have to accept both our differences and our similarities and just let them take their own course rather than forcing the issue through government coercion.
And adjust to that. A black woman just went by the studio and applauded our conversation.
Oh, okay.
Very nice to see and hear. Yeah, very nice. And did it suit the Elizabeth Warren paradigm that we talked about this today, or not? Is it
that she wants to improve capitalism? Yeah, that the government, with its ever-alert systems of bureaucracy and bureaucrats, who has the knowledge and the incentives to fix every problem in the capitalist system.
Clean up every mess.
So, we're almost at the end of the show.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Where does it go?
And
if any of our listeners know where the time goes, would you give us a call?
And see you all next week. Thanks for listening.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life.